Okay, so thanks again for joining this open house. Logistics, first of all, can you all see my screen? Just okay, great, cool. So today we are going to cover some of the aspects of the program. I know some of you were calling me and we were discussing one-on-one, but I thought a lot of you have not called me, so this is a good opportunity to understand the program and ask questions, right? So this is going to be mostly the same slides that I sent over to all of you, but I have just added a few more details, and I hope there are some kids who are also part of this call. But I will also cover with them the context of the test, what are the components in detail, during the first few sessions. But today I will give a preview to the parents, and if there are some kids also who are part of this open house, they can also listen in and understand what are the components and where to focus on for the test, right? My main focus today will be Academies of Loudoun, AET, AOS. I will touch upon a TJ because there was a FAQ coming in from a lot of parents. What is the difference? So I'll just touch upon on the basic difference on what is the difference in a TJ test versus the Academies of Loudoun test, but I'll just leave it there, right? More details I will cover during another open house in October when we start the TJ batch, or in September, right? This call is getting recorded. I hope everyone is okay with that. I would like to give the recording to the parents who were not able to join today. So let me go one by one, and you can use chat for asking questions. I think I will cover everything in 30 minutes, right? You can keep chatting, asking questions. I will cover all the questions in the end, or if there is some question which you have on a particular slide, you can ask that also. But a lot of things are going to cover, so I would say just wait for another 15-20 minutes. Let the slide go through, and after that, I also have a FAQ section in my PowerPoint, right? So we'll go through that. Otherwise, if you have any questions, feel free to ask today, right? This is an open house. It means, I will be talking less, you will be talking more, but at least for first 15-20 minutes, I will just tell you about the program, right? So first of all, introducing myself, I am actually a product manager, a principal product manager in a company in the Bay Area. So I work from home mostly. This is it's a passion project for me. I started a couple of years back. In fact, 3 years back, I started with my own son and his friends, and slowly it moved from 4 students to 12 students to 24 students to almost 50 students last year. Right. So, but otherwise, this is not my full-time thing. This is mostly a passion-driven initiative I've started. My wife, in parallel, also runs some public speaking classes for the students, for the youth, right? But my focus is mostly Academies of Loudoun test preparation and TJ prep test preparation. These are the only 2 things I do. I normally start my classes in July and they end in February, and for 6 months, I don't do any classes, right? So it's mostly my effort is 6 months a year, 3 months dedicated to academies, and then 3 months dedicated to TJ. So I will not spend a lot of time on the results. You have already seen the results. What happened last year, even I was pleasantly surprised, because I was not hoping that with the scale of around 57 students, these kind of results will come. So it looks like some things are working in the program. That's why even with scale, if you compare from the last year, it's almost more than double the students, but the percentage also increased. So something is happening in the program which kids are able to appreciate, learn, and then they are trying their best in the test, right? So I will just skip these slides. These are the success rates for the Academies of Loudoun, and this is one for the TJ. TJ normally, because we are in Loudoun County, I don't see a lot of interest in TJ, but normally what happens is last year I had, I think, three Academies of Loudoun batches, but just 1 TJ batch. That's just because, there is not a lot of interest in TJ because of logistical issues. It's far, and it has also very strict guidelines on who can take the test, who cannot take the test, right? So that's why it's the number of students on TJ is usually less in Loudoun County. One thing I would like to, so again, reviews, I will skip it, but I want to present Om, who was one of the students who joined me last year. And I remember when his parents called me, the first question, and they said, okay, we don't want to talk to you, talk to Om. He wants to ask you questions. So he interviewed me. He was a seventh rising eighth grade at that time, and he interviewed me. And his first question was, can I ask questions freely in your class, right? And I was surprised by that question. Why even he's asking? Because this class is meant to be open class where students are going to ask their questions. Because he said, wherever I'm going right now, I cannot freely ask questions. I am scared. So can I do that? So he gave his feedback. I just want to run it. It's one minute thing from him, right? And let me know if you can hear the video.
Hello everyone.
Audio.
I'm Om Joshi, a ninth grader.
I'm pausing. Can you hear the audio? Okay, great. So let me play this.
A student of Gurpreet's Genius in New classes. One thing I would like to say about the Genius in New class is that Gurpreet sir inspired us and helped us to think creatively and think by ourselves when writing essays, solving complex analytical problems, and doing much more. He helped me not in just the AOL and TJ thinking questions, but in overall in life, how to think creatively. That's one thing I would like to say. And Gurpreet sir also let us solve problems on our own. He guided us throughout the way of the AOL and TJ classes, but he also ensured that we were able to use our own innovative thinking skills. So it's a great class. The teacher, Gurpreet sir, is exceptional, and I would recommend this course to all 8th graders, maybe 7th, I don't know, but 8th graders out there. And if you're wondering to start this class, I would certainly recommend it to you. Because of this class, I was able to be accepted in the Academies of Engineering and Technology and TJ, and I was waitlisted in the AOS. So please, if you're looking out to join some coaching classes, I would recommend Gurpreet's Genius in New class. Thank you.
Right, and the reason I asked for his mom for his video, because he was kind of a child who asked me so many questions in the class. And I was, initially I said, why did I say yes for him to ask all these questions? So a lot of questions. We had a lot of interesting discussions also. And sometimes what happens is, because these are critical reasoning questions, there is not right, wrong answer. They give you 4 options. They're very close to each other. Sometimes, you're thinking in a different way, which might be wrong. Sometimes even I am wrong, right? And we used to have a lot of discussion, and he used to give his points. And, we had to figure out, sometimes I used to tell him that, yes, I was wrong in thinking. This might not be the answer. This might be the answer. This might be, the right next step for, as per the question. So because these are very, critical reasoning questions, little ambiguous, all the answers are very close to each other. And I tell the students that even if there is not one right and 3 wrong answers in Academies of Loudoun, normally there is a best answer, second best answer, and then other 2 are normally wrong answers, right? So even if you think in a different way and you get a second best answer, you don't score a 0 for that question. You still score something, because it's a critical reasoning test. It's not really some test where you have, it's a binary 0 or 1. So there will be a lot of debates, especially with students, where there will be different angles where we'll look into these questions. And sometimes, I might be wrong as well. And I'm happy if students like Om correct me that, okay, if we think from this angle, maybe, the answer can be different. Right, that's the reason I put his video, because a lot of you have been asking me that whether the students are able to freely ask me questions, whether in the class, outside the class, and the answer is yes, you can do that. I will explain you how the format works and what kind of tools we use and things like that. But yes, and if nothing works, I'm just a phone call away. Right, so interesting piece. Next 5 minutes for the students who are there on the call. What is the eligibility for Academies of Loudoun and what kind of test format? What components are contained in the Academies of Loudoun test? So first of all, normally most of the students which I have seen, they are able to take Academies of Loudoun test, because this criteria is not not a very high bar criteria, unlike TJ, which has a very high bar criteria, right? So if your child is getting enrolled in Algebra 1 next year, or already in Algebra 1 with final grade of C or higher, which normally I have seen all the kids in Loudoun County, they're normally A's, mostly A's, A pluses, A minuses, and little bit of B's here and there. So second one is also normally true. And then finally, once they have these 2 things as part of their school, then the entrance test, where this is what they have to take. So if they have this criteria met, then they can take this Academies of Loudoun test, right? And normally I've seen the students in Loudoun County, they normally, right, especially the South Asian community. So we normally, kids are also aware of their grades and their academics. So normally this is not a problem. Last year, out of my 55 odd kids, I just had one kid who had a problem in one subject. It was D or something like that. So they found out little later. So for parents and students, maybe check this out, because you will be filling the forms in August, right? But you are going to get enrolled into one of these courses before, right? So if you know that the child is not eligible to take the test, maybe it's the right time to check now itself, right? But normally it should be okay for Loudoun County kids. Now, what is the format? There are two components. There is a multiple choice component and there is an essay component. There are 33 multiple choice questions, and I think I'll explain a little bit more in next few slides what kind of questions are those. The score of those questions 300, right? It means it's not a simple 33 questions and 33 point rubric. Some questions are difficult, which will have more score, versus some questions which are easy and they will have less score. I don't think this is adaptive test like SATs, right? This is purely a static test, right? Where there are some tough questions, some easy questions, some medium easy questions, and they have different weightages. So these 33 questions basically add up to a score of 300. And normally once you take the test in let's say in October, November, you don't know the score immediately. The score will come even after your results in April. So for example, for last year students, these kind of scores are coming to them now, right? So they don't basically give out the scores immediately in April when they give the results, but scores will come to you later on via post, right, via mail, that this is what you scored in your STEM thinking critical reasoning test. Then the second one is the essay component. And the essay component is not a random essay, it's purely scientific writing essay. They are not asking you to fix something. They are not asking you to find a solution to something, to some problem. All they are asking is, if we give you this problem, which is a geoscience problem mostly, what is going to be your approach to solve that problem, right? So, and it's a very strict rubric they give, very strict prompt they give. We know what kind of prompt it is. We know what kind of rubric, what they're looking in the essay, and it's a pure scientific writing, right? It's not like a philosophical essay or a story or things like that. It's pure scientific writing, and it has a standard template. As long as students know what's the template, what to fill in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they have to, they don't have to really think about the structure. They know the structure. All they have to think is what kind of questions are coming in their mind. So they focus on the thinking ability more than the structure, or the structure of the essay. So in our mock test, we will actually practice a lot of these essays just to make sure the student, when they put pen to paper, they're not thinking about how many paragraphs, what will go in paragraph 1, 2, 3. They know the structure. All they have to think is what kind of questions to ask, what kind of data to analyze, and how to present. That's the only thing they will have to think during those 45 minutes. Right, so the 33 questions on the test, they are out of these 4 topics. Every year, there is some topic which is little heavier in terms of number of questions than others. For example, in 2025, the spatial relational thinking, there were a lot of questions. 2025, last year, a lot of questions were on critical reasoning, very few questions on spatial relational thinking, right? So it doesn't mean that they will be in the same proportion. It means that some of the questions will be more, but we will practice all the questions in our mock test to make sure students are able to solve all these categories, because we don't know next year which category will be heavier than other, right? But overall, the out-of-the-box algebra questions means not equations, not complicated algebra, very simple, probability, percentage. You go to a shop, you ask for a discount. Very, very practical algebra questions, daily life algebra questions, not like x plus y is this and 2x plus 3y is what, right? Or solve these 2 equations and things like that. They don't ask these kind of questions. The spatial relational thinking is mostly about the objects in space. If we change it, if we turn it, if we cut it, if we move it counterclockwise, clockwise, then how it's going to look like, right? Or if we piece it in 16 pieces, how will it look like? Or they will give you pieces, and let's say we assemble that, what kind of object will it become, right? So those kind of questions, which are interesting. And I have shared some books also with you, 2 books where there are a lot of spatial relational thinking questions there, right? Then logical ability, and this is basically, I have not seen a lot of questions around this, but there might be some questions around circuit, some the binary rules and things like that, where they will give a circuit with some bulbs, and they will put a battery, and they will say, if we parallel and serial circuits, and if we do this, what will happen? If we do that, what will happen? If a bulb 1 fuses, what happens to the other bulbs, and things like that, right? And then there is a logical, and this can also be in plain English language, right? They will give a particular prompt, and then it will be a logical concluding prompt. Basically, you have to answer which is the best logical inference from that particular paragraph, right? And then scientific thinking, very few questions. We do practice some questions, but I have not seen a lot of scientific thinking questions, but a lot of critical reasoning questions. And I believe next year also, they are moving towards more critical reasoning, critical thinking questions, where they are a little boring in nature for students, because it's a big paragraph they have to read, and they have to understand, and they have to find the best answers. And even the answers are very ambiguous, because not every answer is wrong. Every answer is partially right, but you have to choose the best answer, right? So it's basically tasking on the brain. Last year there were a lot of critical reasoning questions in the real test, right? Now, when you get this, when you take the test in April, when you get the results, and maybe in June when you get your score will be mostly between 260 to 300. And what I have seen is that in 2024, a score of 278 was getting an offer. 2024, 280 was getting offered. Last year, I have a student who got 282 but no offer, right? So it means it's getting a little bit more competitive nowadays, right? Next year, maybe the people who, or the students who get offer might be 282 or more. You have to. So it looks like the competition is increasing in Academies of Loudoun, in Loudoun County. But again, it is relative. Every year is different depending on the students. It's not absolute, but a score of 280 to 285 is generally good. Again, some examples. I will not spend time on this one. I have given some videos also to parents where we have a lot of examples about these kind of questions, and I think we'll cover a lot of them in our test as well. Essays are very important, right? Because again, it's not a random essay. It's a very defined essay. There is a defined prompt. It's also on LCPS's Academies of Loudoun page, on the admissions page. They have given one essay, which is on some species extinction. And normally the essays will come in the same format, where you have the prompt on top, prompt in the sense that the topic on top, like what is talking about, what is the main topic of the essay. And then there will be A, B, and C prompt. This is a pure scientific prompt, where A is basically asking you, if we give you a problem, right? How will you figure out how big that problem is? What kind of questions will come to your mind to investigate that problem? What are the causes? They're not asking again for fixes and all. They're just figuring out what the problem is. Is it really bad, or it's okay? Or what is the community impact of how will you figure out, what kind of questions will you ask to figure out the impact of that problem on the local community, on the larger community, and things like that. That's A. B is that, let's say you have figured out, okay, these are 4 questions that are coming to my mind. How will you get answers to those questions? Again, they are not asking answers to the question. They're saying, what data will you analyze? Will you go to a particular database? Will you go to a particular set of scientists, NGOs, or will you go to some local community places? Sometimes, it's about traffic. So will you go to local traffic police, for example, or local hospitals to collect the data? What kind of data will you collect? So they are just checking your analytical ability. Can you connect the dots? Can you connect, if you have questions, how do you get answers to those questions? Because this is what they are going to do in high school, especially in AOS. This is their bread and butter. When they are going to do research, they are going to solve they have to solve the problem also, but first they have to approach analytical approach to solve the problem, right? And then the third one is mostly about how will you present it, right? So this is questions, this is data, this is presentation, where they will give you some stakeholders, and you have to tell them in one paragraph how will you present to that particular stakeholders, right? So this is the typical format. Normally, all the essays will come into this format. just that the topic will change. And this is the rubric. Again, I will not spend a lot of time here, but the rubric here is there are 5 different things they are looking for. Questioning, whether you're questioning, especially the paragraph 1, how does it look like? Did you ask quantifiable questions, right? Not just any open-ended questions, philosophical questions. No, they are looking for scientific questions, like in last 25 years, what percentage of change has happened due to this? They are checking for these kind of very, very typical scientific measurable questions, not like did something change in last few years. No, that is very ambiguous. So they are checking, whether you have that kind of ability to quantify things and to put it against each other and see, the problem is big, small, or medium. So questioning is number 1. Information gathering is your second paragraph. What information will you gather to answer your own questions? The third one is overall essay, the fluency, originality of ideas, whether it is making the coherent sense, whether, idea 1, you're not jumbling a lot of ideas. Normally, I tell my students that if you're asking questions in question 1, 2, 3, 4, your information gathering should also be in the same order, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should not just jumble and change the order, because then it becomes very difficult to read, right? And you lose marks in that. And then finally, the presentation is the piece where you have the third paragraph, how will you present? And then point of view is overall essay. What is your point of view? It's mostly your conclusion and what's your perspective, right? And normally you don't have to take sides. It's a scientific essay, right? But in sometimes, you can, if they have asked you for your opinion, feel free to add. But overall, 0, 1, and 2, it's a 10-pointer rubric. If they don't see any evidence of anything good happening in that particular row, it will be 0. Limited evidence means 1. For example, they are looking for 2 good questions at a minimum, but if you put just 1 good question and other ambiguous question, you might only get 1. But if you have full evidence, means 2 examples where they can see that you are thinking, and you have 2 different examples in each paragraph, or 2 different ways how will you communicate to different stakeholders, then you get a full 2. And my rubric also will be based on the same criteria that we have for Academies of Loudoun. So long story short, 2 components. There are MCQ, 33 questions. They are 50 minutes. And then there is 1.5 minutes per question approximately. And then there is a writing assessment. These are 2 separate components. It doesn't mean that if you do STEM early, you get that extra time for your essay. No. They have 50 minutes for STEM. Even if you're done with 50 minutes, or let's say in 40 minutes, you have to wait for 10 more minutes and then before the essay starts. So it's a dedicated buckets for 50 minutes for STEM, 50 for the writing essay. There is no upper limit for writing essay, for the character limit for the essay, but normally 1.5 to 2 pages, which is around 4,500 characters, not words, is good enough, right? And overall time they give you is 95 minutes to this, right? And there's no calculator and no spell checker. They are not looking for your spelling. They're just looking for, if they're able to make sense out of your statements and they are making really scientific sense, then you are okay. So coming to the TJ test format, again, I have only 1 slide for TJ. I don't want to go too much into TJ, but TJ, it's very different. That's why we have a total separate batch for TJ. It also happens in February, unlike Academies of Loudoun, which happens in October, November. There are 2 components. It's all essay. There is no multiple choice questions. All basically long essays you have to write. But the component 1 is your math or science essay, most probably math essay, which is complicated, which is all about multiple prompts, and it's very, very different than Academies of Loudoun scientific essay, right? It's a pure math problem. They will give you a pure math problem. Problem can be about probability, percentages, geometry, and it is complicated problem. Time, speed, distance, right? And then they will ask you multiple prompts and you have to solve them in an essay format. It means you don't just deliver a solution, you deliver a solution with a full explanation in the right order in an essay format with a proper introduction, proper conclusion, and your analysis in between, right? So this is first component, which is approximately, again, this is not time limited component. They give a full 90 minutes and you do component 1 and 2, unlike Academies of Loudoun. But generally, math essay takes 45 to 50 minutes with a score of 300, right? And then we have SPS component, which is more like your student portrait sheet. which is more like your personal attributes, your creativity examples, your collaboration examples, your critical thinking examples. They will give you tell me about a time when you collaborated with someone from a different country or someone who did not speak the same language as you, for example, right? Tell me about a time where you solved a problem with your critical thinking and you were appreciated by the local community or your school. So they will give these kind of prompts, and then you have to answer. There will be 4 different prompts, and they also give us what kind of attributes they will test the students against, and it's pretty simple, but just that it's a lot of writing, right? So, and that's where I see kids really fight this writing initially in the program, but slowly we practice, and then they get to know what they have to write, then it becomes easy. But yes, writing is a challenge in the beginning. For my program, I see a lot of kids, they are unable to write, and by the end of the course they are able to write it freely and much more with a happy face than when they start the course. Now for coming to this program, like our program, the batch which is starting in July, I'll quickly cover that. The way it's going to work is there's going to be one test day for both the batches, which is virtual, which is Thursdays. So every Thursday there will be a test. It's a 2-hour, 6 to 8 p.m. Test, which means like we are right now on Google Meet. It will also be on Google Meet. I will be telling students how to take the test, but mostly it's everyone just takes the test. Initially there will be a little bit of talk, but after 1 or 2 weeks, kids know what to do, when to do, and things like that. So it's pretty simple. They have to join me on Thursday 6 to 8 to take the test. So that is, initially it will be 1.5 hours, but slowly we'll just make it, initially I don't even time it. First couple of weeks, I just give them time, just solve it right. And slowly we do the time-based test starting from August onwards, right? But I keep that window, 2-hour window for the test. And then in-person class, depending on what batch you will choose, either Tuesday or Wednesday, the in-person class is going to happen the same time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So the way it works is Thursday, students are taking the test. They will take the multiple choice questions test. They will take the essay test. They will get all the feedback during the weekend. They will get the score, also wrong and right answers and why they got it wrong. Even, when they got it right, why they got it right, kind of feedback. On an essay, I am a little bit more detailed because essay is subjective. So I tend to give a paragraph by paragraph input to them. What went well, what didn't go well, and how could they have written in a better way. Or I just take their questions and reframe them, or take their data points and reframe them so that they don't have to learn something new. So they know they were having some idea in their mind, but how to expand on that idea. So that's what my essay feedback is, a little more personal, more detailed. The MCQ is pretty simple. It's a straightforward ABCD choice. If you got it wrong, then you just see why it got wrong, right? And you get score. You get a full score for your essay. You get a full score for your mock test for MCQs every weekend, right? So as the batch progresses, every weekend, every week, you will see that the student is going up or going down based on the score. Everything will be in the Google Classroom student's account, but parents are free to check what's happening with their child. And normally, I don't disturb a lot of parents if I see the students are doing good. They are on the right trajectory. I don't really, I just send a message that it's all good, everything is good. But if I see that there are issues where the students are not taking the test on time, they are accumulating all these tests and doing it in one fine day, it adds a lot on me also. I won't be able to test all of them. Then that time I dial parents, telling them that I need their help. First of all, discipline, and second thing is just inducing a little bit more interest in the student to review some of the material. And that time I'll give the tips how to do that, right? So it's not that very difficult. I have seen 80% students, they are self-doers, they are self-motivated. 20% student, we need some parental help, right? And there I will dial up those parents and we'll need some help that time. And usually that happens in September timeframe. So I think this is something which I already covered. 12 tests, 50% will dedicate to STEM, 50% will dedicate to essays. But as I told you, our students, especially, I have seen for the last three years, students, when they come into my course, they don't know what to write. Not like except some exceptional students, right? A lot of students, they don't know what to write. If I give them an essay, they will give me back 4 lines or 5 lines. That's all, right? So my initial focus for first few classes, I would say 3 to 4 classes, we spend more time on essay. I want to make sure they understand the template. They need to get in their mind what is the structure, what does the introduction look like, what is the conclusion, what are these 3 paragraphs, how to think, and we spend a lot of time on that. But slowly, once they know, last I think 8 classes, we don't do a lot of essay in the class. We do essay reviews through Google Classroom, where I will give them a lot of comments, and then we touch base for, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes or 20 minutes in the class. That's all, right? Because essay is more about practice. There is nothing to explain to the students after a few classes. Once they understand the template, they know what they have to do. We only discuss different topics, right? And we don't really talk a lot about structure and things like that. So initially my program is more essay heavy, but later on it becomes more STEM heavy. But in overall, if you see, it's 50% essay and 50% STEM. Okay, I'll just skip this one. This is the same thing I already discussed. Okay, in person. So this was a question that came up. I added this slide because a lot of parents were calling me and asking, okay, there is one test class and then one in-person review class. Is there anything else? So this is, and in in-person class, do we only review the questions of the test or do we do something else, right? So this is just to expand on that. So test happens on Thursday. All the comments. So students are not just learning on those 2 days. They are also learning in between, because my expectation out of these students is that when they get a review back, they should analyze my comments. Sometimes I don't like essay at all, and it's really not gradable. I ask them to rewrite and resend, right? So that kind of work will also happen. That will happen on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And then in the class, we just don't review the test, right? So test is just a way to get their feet wet into telling them what kind of questions are going to come, right? But overall, we take for example, out of 33 questions, I know that 10 questions are very easy. Everyone is able to do. We don't touch them because they are self-explanatory, very simple. We touch the ones which are medium or little high on the complexity piece, right? And then we go into the concepts and techniques. And I have given one example of a cube coloring problem, which always comes. It has been coming for last 5 years, and it's a very good critical thinking as well as algebra, a mix of algebra and critical thinking problem, right? If you hear this problem first time, you won't be able to solve. But once you know the concept, any problem like that, you bring any complicated problem with a cube and cutting the cube, you will be able to solve, right? So we work on the concepts so that they are not only able to solve the questions in my mock test, but they should be able to solve the general questions which come around that, right? So that is what we do, right? It's not just the repetition of what they have done in the test. It's just picking some questions, then expanding on that. And that is my in-person instruction class. Okay, so quickly, I am going to, okay, this is one example of, I mentioned about how the comments look like in the essay, right? This will be in Google Classroom. For example, this student has written the essay and I have given the comment, what worked well, what didn't go well. And on the right-hand side, you see the rubric. You see how much the student scored in what particular rubric. So this is also available to students every week, right? Every weekend for that test, they will have this score, and they will also have the score. You as a parent should be able to log into Google Classroom, or you have to tap on your child's shoulder and say, okay, show me your progress. And you should have everything available in front of you through Google Classroom. Okay, and this is fee structure. You guys already know that. I just reiterating, Academies of Loudoun, both courses are $1,600 each, 3-month course, 12 week batches, and then there are some discounts. One of them for Academies of Loudoun is till May 30th, which is coming in 3 days, right? And then if the students continue for TJ, the TJ fee reduces from 1,600 to 1,200, right? Right now, I am not asking for full fee. I just want parents, if they want to reserve, they can pay 500 and rest they can pay in July. And for TJ, if there is an interest to continue, we can discuss that time. So nothing to commit right now. to me, and we can always come back in September, October to see if there is interest, because interest keeps changing. A lot of students who are not, they don't want to go for TJ now. After 2-3 months, after listening from other students in the school, they make their mind that they want to go for TJ. Sometimes it's the other way around, right? So I don't want any commercial commitments from the parents right now. So take your time. We have time till September to think about TJ. But right now the focus is only Academies of Loudoun. The classes are going to held in Curious Minds, Montessori School. That's final. There is no other nearby places. It's very close to Home Depot in South Reading, very close to the Dulles South Rec Center, right? So classes are going to happen there. These are the dates. The program is going to start in July. There will be a test that I will circulate around 9th or a week before, a test 9th, maybe 9th or 10th, and then the actual in-person classes start on 14th and 15th, right? So this is the week 1, and then we have a planned vacation in August for 2 weeks. And then the batch ends on 15th of October, right? I just keep the extra 2 weeks buffer because the test normally happens around 31st, 7th, 14th, and 21th November. So they will give you 3 dates to pick one from. But I just keep these extra 2 weeks as buffer because during the end I normally have some extra classes for the students very close to the test, right? So I just keep this for buffer. But overall, this is the program starting in July, ending in October with a 2-week buffer, and the actual test happens end of October or early November. I think this is the last slide, maybe or second last slide, right? So, and then we can open up for questions, right? So there are 2 batches, as I mentioned. The combinations are Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the second combination is Wednesdays and Thursdays. Tuesday and Wednesday for batch 1, batch 2 is in-person class. Thursday for both the batches is the virtual class, the virtual test class. And once you enroll, I would like to know which batch you would like to enroll for. And this is the last slide, and then we can open up for questions if you have. For already enrolled parents, and I have got a lot of enrollment, so thank you for that. No action needed, right? So you're already in the respective groups, and then I will provide communication mostly in late June on when the test will be available. I will set up the accounts on Google Classroom. You will get some comments from me in June for the parents who have already enrolled. The parents who are still deciding, there are 2 options. Again, you can secure your seat now. That is one option, or you can wait and decide. And you can wait for the first trial class in July and decide. Now, again, the early bird offers on May 30th. And then right now I can tell you that around 70% of the batches, both the batches are full. Especially the Tuesday batch is very much, it's almost completed all the registrations. Wednesday batch, there are some spots available. Even Tuesday there are, but less, right? So almost 70% registrations have been done. So I see this as a low chance that I will have enrollments open in July for the trial class, right? But yes, if you want to wait, I think up to you. But I think it's a low chance that I will have students coming in July for trials if all the spots filled in before itself. Right? And that's it. I have created some FAQs, but I will let you guys, come up and ask questions. And if I have something covered already in FAQs, I will bring that up. So let's start with the question and answers. Let me see if I have something in the chat. No. So anyone has any questions on the program? Yes. Yes, I can't see all of you, but Kavita, is that your hand?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Hi, I'm Kavita. Thank you for this session. It's very informative. My question is, how many kids you allow in one class? And is there more teachers or you handle all the kids?
Right, it is only me, right? So I handled the 2 batches. The maximum limit per batch is 20 students.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I have one more question.
Sure, please go on.
If you remember, I have messaged you in the past that we have a plan to go to India for the summer. Right. And at the time, at least I remember you told me in July, there are only 2 mock tests. But
Right.
now, what I saw in the presentation, there are proper 3 weeks. So if we leave, we will be missing 3 weeks of work. Is that correct?
That is, yeah, that is not. So will the student be able to take the test or not?
He will be
No,
able to
they
take
will.
the test, but that in
So
person thing won't be possible for him.
right. So for I think for there are a lot of students. I think for them, I'm gonna record videos for those missed tests, and they will be able to consume them. And again, whatever wherever they can always ask me questions through Google Classroom. I will respond to them, right? But for July, because last year also this happened, I might have to create couple of videos explaining those 3 tests to them, so that they don't have a lot of questions when they come back.
Okay, so from July till October, except those 2 weeks, you continuously have every week classes.
Continuously every week classes, yes. From August 15th onwards, I'll just bring back to that calendar. So from August 15th onwards, so from 17th of August till the 15th of October, it's every week.
Okay, and July has 3 weeks.
July has 3 weeks.
So
yes.
first 2 weeks of August is the break time.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Anvita, I see your hand raised up. Anvita, you have a question? If you are speaking, you might be on mute. Okay, looks like no question. So anyone else has any other question? Any student, any kid who has a question for me? I know some of you wanted some kids to talk to me directly. If you have a question, you can ask. Madhav, yes, you have a question?
Hi, I'm Madhu's mom.
Okay.
I don't know if you already answered. Sorry about that if I'm repeating the question. But is there a makeup class or like makeup recording in case kid miss in-person class?
Only for July I will have it, because that's the genuine reason. Kids are traveling, but after August onwards, no makeup class.
Okay.
There will be, because there are 2 days in-person class. Sometimes, if there is a real reason, you have to tell me in advance. Then we can shift the student. Instead of Tuesday, they can come on Wednesday, for example, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
If
But
there's
you have to tell me in advance.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Any more questions?
Hi, Gurpreet. This is Madhvi. I joined a bit late. What platform would you choose? Would you have? Like, I don't know if you have covered this. Like, the kids write the essays, right? Those are all paper-based, I believe. These are all that like they use paper and pencil, not paper and pen, to write the essays and review, right? But for the multiple choice questions, do you have like a Google Drive or a place where you would store all the tests and information you would share with the teachers? You would share with the kids and parents as well, where we would have access to it.
Right. So the MCQs are Google Forms, which are in the Drive, right? So they will get a form, and so once they are done with the test, they normally get a score via email as well as from Google Classroom. So everything is around Google Classroom. For MCQs, there is Google Form, which is timed form, right? So initially it will not be timed, but after August there will be timed tests, right? So even the form will be timed. And then for essays, it's going to be Google Doc, right? Again, timed, because they are coming on Thursday and taking the test with me. But it's Google Docs, Google Forms, all in Google Classroom. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. Also, do I message you to enroll, or should I stay back on the call, or
no? You can just send me a DM on WhatsApp, and then we can take the next step.
Yeah, sounds good.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, what if we don't know a topic? It's what should we do? Like, how do we write it? Like, and will you like teach us that in class?
Right. It's a good question because this is generally what happens. Last year there were a topic about some cane toads in Australia, which was took a lot of students by surprise, right? A brand new topic. But the good thing about this essay is that you don't really have to solve the problem, right? And if you see, these topics might be different, but the approach is normally same. The approach to think about the questions you are going to ask yourself to how to approach this problem, what kind of what kind of data will you analyze, that doesn't change. And normally in the prompt they will give you first 2 or 3 lines about the topic, right? And they will not just say cane toads, they will also say that cane toads were introduced in Australia in the farming sector as some species to control pests, and then later they became invasive, and this happened, that happened. They will give you some context, and then they will ask you some questions, right? So it's not like even if you don't know the topic, you will still be able to write the essay, right? That's what we normally cover in this program, that I will give you a lot of topics, almost like 50-60 topics to look through, study, and get some more grasp on. But even if the topic is a surprising difficult topic or something which you don't know, you still be able to write a good scientific essay because the approach does not change.
Thank you.
Sure. Any more questions? I will just quickly skip through the FAQs then to see. Okay, this program is for rising 8th grader. I would suggest, I know that there might be some 7th grader parents here, rising 7th grader parents also. My suggestion is, come back next year. I knew last year I had a couple of 7th graders, right? But normally I would say this is just a repetition if they want to do the next year, and it's best to do during those last 3 or 4 months before the test, not a year before. But yes, I have shared a lot of videos, books. We also have a separate public speaking course where we do a lot of writing. If student is struggling with writing, you can check that. But this course, I would say, recommend only for 8th graders. 12 weeks is good, more than enough. In my experience, more than enough for preparation if there is a focus and there is not too much of moving between different thinking about whether to take the test, not take the test. Once you're focused, once you are doing mock tests every week, 12 weeks is good enough, right? What if my child is not already strong? That's also fine. That's basically, I don't do any tests. Like a lot of institutes, they start grading the students first and they only take the top students, right? I don't do that. I know my students will be based on a spectrum, and that's what I want. We build thinking skills. I don't want just the top graders and then they get into Academies of Loudoun. There is no, it's first come first serve. Whoever wants to enroll, they can enroll, and all we are going to learn is how to think better in these classes, right? So even if your student is not already strong, I can say I had one student last year who I knew I in 2 or 3 weeks I know which student has a capability, which does not have a capability to get into Academies of Loudoun. But that is not the criteria for me. My criteria is if some student is starting with me with a 1-point rubric essay and ending my course with a 7-point rubric essay, for me that is a win. Even though he or she is not able to make to Academies of Loudoun, but at least he reached from 1 to 7 in these 12 weeks, right? So that's a win for me. A win for me is not someone who started with 8 and moved to 9 and got into Academies of Loudoun. That's okay, good, because a lot of that's good marketing material. But personally for me, win is a student starting with 1, getting to 6 or 7, even though student is not able to make it to Academies of Loudoun. That's perfectly okay. I know they learned something in my class and it will help them maybe later in high school or in college, right? What if we are traveling in July? I only answered that. Again, I think I'm planning to do some videos for those kids who are traveling in July for those 3 classes so that they are not left behind. Different from, okay, so this I already covered. This is mostly mock test, feedback, improvement, lot of feedback and a lot of focused mock tests that's going to happen. Work expected each week, 3 to 4 hours. Work is expected 2 hours for the mock tests and 1 in-person session. And then, there will be a little bit of research. I don't give a lot of homework, but I will give a little bit of research work for students. And I would say, please look into my comments. Whenever I give feedback, look into that, because I'm going to ask you questions about that in the class, right? So make sure if you have been asked to rewrite an essay or redo a question, please do that before coming to the in-person class. But I don't give you homework outside of what we do in the test and what we discuss in the classroom. I will not give you some random essays. Again, there are some students who want it. I have a lot of content I will give to interested students, but usually I don't check those things, right? So there will be a lot of material available outside of this. It's optional practice for students. Makeups, no formal makeups. But again, if you tell me in advance, we might be able to, for 1 week or 2 weeks, we can shift between Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Batch size 20, I already answered that. Students will need personal email address, a laptop to take the test. School Chromebooks will not work. School email IDs will not work. And then I say when they come to my class, I don't normally let them open the laptops in my class, only to review my comments if they have not seen before. But usually in my class, they only use pen, pencil, and a scratch pad. No electronics allowed. Normally I keep them away. So it's mostly focused on pen, pencil, and scratch pad. Child's progress, Google Classroom. Again, repeating Google Classroom for overall framework, Google Docs for essay, Google Forms for your multiple choice questions. The days and timings, no, it's not going to change. It's confirmed. I have booked this place also. So it's Tuesday and Wednesdays. No change in time schedule. Books, I will recommend. I will also recommend some more program materials and the mock tests when the batch starts, right? I don't want to give everything up front. I have already given a couple of books and I think 7 to 8 videos, and there will be so many recommendations around those videos. If students wants to do that before the classes start, you're more than welcome to do that. Fees, policies, I think this is payment via cash or Zelle. Refundable, yes, it's refundable. If you pay and you have a change of mind, I will just take the $250 administrative fee and rest we can return back. And then after 2 weeks of the batch start, which means sometime in August onwards, it's not refundable, right? So it's flexible. That I just don't want you block it and then later on change mind. Then I just want to have that kind of a thing that if you are thinking too much, then I would say just wait. Don't block it, right? And let some other child who is confirmed or they have made up their mind to take the seat, right? So that's why we have this $250 admin fee. Last question, I will not discuss this now. Maybe we'll discuss this in September or when the results come. Which school is better? Because this lot of students in my batch, they normally get selected in both the schools, and then these questions come up, right? So this will most probably a question for next year. That's all. I think these are all the questions that I normally get from parents. But if you have any more questions, we have another couple of minutes left. Let me know.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
I think I have joined the WhatsApp group little late, so I don't have those videos you were talking about. Can you share that again?
Yeah, can you just DM me? I will share all those things.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone I think who joined late, please DM me. I shared at least 7 to 8 good videos, and they are really good. I'm telling you, the first set of videos that I sent you guys, the 3 or 4 videos, they are really, really critical. A lot of questions are gonna come around those videos, right? And then I also shared 2 books. Both books are very good. The Spatial Relational Thinking, and I am reviewing one more book right now. I will share that later on the critical thinking. But yes, if you have missed messages because you joined late on the WhatsApp group, please DM me and I'll share that. Irrespective of whether you joined the course or not, it's all okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Great. So 1 more minute. Any more questions? Anyone who have questions? Okay, if you no more questions right now, please feel free to DM me. You know my number, where to find me, right? DM me, pick up a phone, give me a call. Mostly after 5 o'clock every day, I am available right now. I don't have any batches running. So give me a call. If you have any questions, send me a DM on WhatsApp and we can figure out a time when to chat, right? So thank you very much again, parents, for joining this. I hope this was useful for you. And thank you, especially kids. I saw some beautiful faces out there. So thank you for joining this as well, right? I'll see you around, guys. Thank you very much.